Cast Grim Hireling and attack you each for 1. No blocks? Good game. This might be what you hear when the game ends, but what's actually going on behind the scenes? Welcome back to Better Know a Combo, brought to you by the Spike Feeders. This combo uses a bomb rare from Magic's new expansion, Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Grim Hireling is a 3/2 Tiefling Rogue for 3 and a black that reads: whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create 2 treasure tokens. It also lets you pay a black and sacrifice X creatures to give a creature -X/-X until end of turn. Grim Hireling's first ability can make you up to 6 treasures each combat if you connect with all 3 of your opponents, which cause Najeela players worldwide to perk up and take notice. Najeela is not only good at swarming the board with tokens and ensuring you'll actually be able to get damage through, she also has a way to spend that mana at instant speed to take another combat. Her activated ability costs Wooburg and reads: untap all attacking creatures. They gain Trample, Lifelink, and Haste until end of turn. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. Activate this ability only during combat. So as long as you can reliably deal combat damage to all 3 of your opponents, Grim Hireling will make you enough treasures for you to activate Najeela's ability after damage is dealt, but before you're out of combat in your end of combat step. Rinse and repeat to take as many combats as you need to close out the game. You can add this to an increasingly long list of things that combo with Najeela for infinite combat steps. Grim Hireling joins Derevi Imperial Tactician, Nature's Will, and Druid's Repository. They all essentially do the same thing. They give you ways to create enough mana to activate Najeela and reset things so you can do it again next combat. Now, this sounds awesome, but how can people interact? Let's take a look at the combo and talk about what you can do to stop it each time you receive priority. Starting with Najeela and 2 warrior tokens in play, I'll cast Grim Hireling. At this point, you can either counter the Hireling or remove Najeela. Remember that I'll need to connect with at least 3 creatures, 1 per opponent, to make enough treasures to win the game. This means I can also pop the warriors with something like Electrickery or Fiery Cannonade to stop the combo. If you've got spot removal though, it's best to wait if your plan is to deal with Najeela. If she's my commander and I've got enough mana, I can just recast her in my pre-combat main phase. Next up, there will be 2 passes of priority as I end my main phase and move through my beginning of combat step. These are both opportunities to point your spot removal at the Grim Hireling or the Najeela, and if you're doing it at the beginning of combat step, I won't have an opportunity to recast or reanimate either of them before I have to declare attackers. If you pass priority here, we'll move to declare attackers, and I'll declare my 2 warriors as attackers at 2 of my opponents, triggering Najeela to make 2 more warriors tapped and attacking. You now have another opportunity to deal with either piece of the combo before the new tokens enter, with one of them attacking the 3rd opponent. At this point, you're pretty much relegated to flashing in a creature or creating a token to block. If you're playing damage prevention effects like Constant Mists, that'll also shut things down, because the creatures need to actually deal combat damage for Grim Hireling to make treasures. After damage happens, Grim Hireling will make some treasures, and I can respond to that trigger with any Stifle type effect that handles triggered abilities. The last step is using the treasures to activate Najeela's ability in the end of combat step, which can also be stifled. When that ability resolves, I've completed my first iteration of the loop, and I'm ready to go again. But what if you're not playing reactive spells like that? What kind of cards can you play to shut them down? This combo requires its controller to attack with more than 1 creature per turn. Silent Arbiter and Peacekeeper can prevent people from doing this, but it's definitely worth noting that Grim Hireling's activated ability can quickly dispatch either of these with enough treasures. This combo requires its controller to activate the ability of a creature. Linvala, Keeper of Silence, and Cursed Totem will shut that down, and both have the added benefit of being immune to Grim Hireling's removal ability. You can also drop a Humility to get rid of all abilities on all creatures. You could also keep the board free of warrior tokens with Kervek the Spiteful, or pop the tokens as they attack with something like Light Minefield or Power Stone Minefield. Finally, both Kismet and Root Maze will cause the treasures to enter tapped, which can be a pretty significant roadblock since they need to tap to activate. You can also use Collector Oof, Null Rod, or Stony Silence to shut them down entirely. That just about does it for this episode of Better Know a Combo. If you have a combo you'd like to see explained, be sure to let us know in the comments below. We'll catch you next time.
Hey, thank you for checking out the Spike Feeders on YouTube. If you're not subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button before you close the window, or you can click on this link to check out our other great videos.